Welcome to Chitkara University platform. Dr. Achikoel, on behalf of Chitkara University family, welcome you all on board for yet another fascinating journey with one of the great personalities that we are going to talk to today. A very special person, an achiever, and one and only world record holder in his own field. Wow, what a great feeling to be with one of the person who is number one in the world. I'm already having some goosebumps with troubling me. We shall explore him down the line as we sail through with our guest today. He's an active environmentalist, mechanical engineer, an academician, entrepreneur, inspirational, motivational speaker, adventurer, TEDx speaker. He has spoken at number of platforms across the world. A reciter, and the list goes on. Guess what age this guy might be? He did it at the age of 626. Today, still miles to go ahead of him. Lucky to have a person like Mr. Arvind Mishra, a noble human being with us today. How did he unleash his potential to the maximum? Let's explore with him at Chitkara University. That's the logo of Chitkara University. Let's explore at Chitkara University. So before I formally introduce Mr. Mishra to all the guests, let me play a video to showcase his one of the great achievements across the world that is to his credit. Please listen to this video.
I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible. That some of you already know that it's hard. It's not easy. It's hard changing your life. That in the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain. There are moments when you're going to doubt yourself and say, God, why is this happening to me? For those of you that have experienced some hardships, don't give up on your dream.
Yes, you all can live your dream. That's what we are going to explore today. Before I formally introduce Mr. Arvind Mishra ji, let me quote a few lines. मंजिलें बड़ी जिद्दी होती हैं, हासिल कहाँ नसीब से होती हैं, मगर तूफान भी हार जाते हैं वहाँ जहाँ कश्तियाँ जिद पर होती हैं. That's very true as far as Mishra is concerned. So, Mishra ji, welcome to Chitkara University today, and let's start the journey that you have traveled so far. And we are connected with students hundreds of students today on the platform. So we shall be exploring you and your journey, that what exactly Arvind Mishra is. Is he a like human being, normal human being? Is a kind of educationist, academician, traveler, environmentalist, mechanical engineer, TEDx speaker, a world record holder above all. So tell us about like what exactly Arvind Mishra is. So our students are like ready to go and listen to you. Please
Uh,
welcome to Chitkara University.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for inviting me to this wonderful platform. And I would like to extend my welcome to all the faculties and all the students listening to this program. Well, I don't know. I mean, it has been a very fancy journey so far. And all I can say is that I'll try to reflect what I can manifest out of it. Um, so I started my career as a mechanical engineer, after I graduated in mechanical engineering in year 2010. And since I did my minor in numerical computations, so I started working as a FE analyst at one of the major global aerospace firm back in 2010. Uh,
Right,
so that was my engineering time. That part of my life, I was an engineer, practicing engineer. A lot of people from civil engineering and mechanical engineering background will know what finite element analysis is, and I used to be, quite fascinated at one point of time. I did
right,
a couple of, research papers on that area. But then there was one accident that led me into academics. Today I see, back then I used to see that as an accident, but today I see that as a fortunate event, and I'll talk about that accident in a couple of minutes. But that led me into the academics, and that's when I became a professor of mechanical engineering. I taught at a couple of universities in India, and that's where I made a couple of world records. So I have two world records in my credit. So I made those world records in 2014 and one in 2015 in France. And after that, things continued, and then I felt like there is time to do something more, and that's when I combined two of my passion, adventure and climate change sustainability, to deliver a travel and talk program. And I started cycling from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. That was the plan. So I
right,
started cycling, and I was connecting with the students. I spoke to students at almost 45 universities. The idea was to deliver climate literacy program, and that was a wonderful thing. And that was the time, and for 4 or 5 months, I was basically an adventurer. I was sleeping throughout. I was camping all the time. I was sleeping in deserts. I was sleeping in forest, outside India. Remote areas of India.
that's great.
And after that, I tried compiling my experiences from the journey, which is now on the way to become a published book. So that's that. And currently I'm in Canada working with in past 3 years I've been a policy professional, I've been a strategy professional, and I've worked with a couple of organizations in India and Canada as a policy head, as a strategy head. So I see the strength of my portfolio is the diversity. I feel that diversity is one of the strengths that I have, and somehow I believe it's one of the things that keeps me going. I like to acquire a new state of mind on a given day. I focus if I can acquire a new major experience every year. So diversity is something that I thrive for.
Right, right. Yeah, that's great. That's great because Arvindji, continue with the talk actually. So we all grow like born in kind of a normal environment. So like if I ask you, was it the same kind of person that from the very beginning that you have, or like how actually that idea of challenging the thoughts and challenging the word and challenging the potential and challenging the limits that one has as a human being. So how actually it happened actually, right from the right, like if you go back and see your childhood, how did it happen actually? So
Well, I guess that I wasn't the same in my childhood days, but then I can definitely say that yeah, I was disciplined. A lot, and I can credit this to my father, who was serving Indian Army.
right.
So he kind of used to put me into a miniature training module himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, things kept on going, but then I lost him at a very early childhood age. I was very connected to him, and somehow the notion of accountability to him became one of the motivation forces behind a lot of things. And after I lost my father, I had to move back to my native hometown, which is Kanpur, and not just in the main town of the Kanpur, but little remote in the Kanpur,
Right.
which used to be a very humble place. So somehow, this is the point when I would like to talk to students about something called negative motivation.
Okay.
It sounds negative in a way, but I felt connected to this word, and I feel that it makes a lot of sense. We have seen a lot of people, a lot of IS officers coming from Bihar cadre, coming from UP cadre. So
Okay.
the idea is that sometimes you're scared of becoming something that you should not become. Sometimes you are well fed, everything is like nice in your life, and you think that, yeah, there is something called positive motivation, that, yeah, I want to become a doctor, I want to become an engineer, I want to become this, I want to become that. That's the positive motivation. Negative motivation works differently. It says that you should not become that, you're scared of becoming something that you should not become.
Okay.
So that was, somehow I knew in the beginning of my childhood that, academics is one of the resort, or one of the last resort that I have. So I knew that I have to study, I have to do well in academics. So I started studying. I did mechanical engineering from one of the top notch engineering colleges, and then after that, I was selected for a program at National University of Singapore. I moved there.
Hmm.
And after this, something happened. Like, I was sent back to their Bangalore office. In 2010, I got a job with one of the global aerospace firm, and that's when I thought everything is going to be okay. Everything is nice. All of my hard work is paying off. And that, like, in the end of 2010, I got this job in July 2010. Towards the December 2010, right in the end of that year, after 6 months of serving in that company, I met with an accident.
Okay.
And that accident was, like, I injured my lower spine, lower back.
Hmm.
And when next morning I woke up, I was told by my doctors that there is a possibility that you will lose your mobility. It's a case of partial paralysis, because uh, the frame in the auto basically entered my lower back.
Okay.
So my nervous system was, the thecal sac that carries your nervous system was, like, partially damaged,
Hmm.
and it was going to be difficult. So I was told by my doctors that you will not be able to do things, the way you would otherwise. So that was the accident, you know. But somehow, like I said, that I have been a wanderer and explorer, and I have been, motivated by the negative thought that I should not become something that I'm not supposed to. And that's when, after 3 months or 4 months of complete bedridden state, somehow I started questioning myself. Is this it? Is this over?
Okay.
What am I going to do about it? And then the idea that I won't be able to go out and explore the possibilities, the endless possibilities that this world has, that idea scared me. And that's when I started understanding what exactly could be the human limit. you know what
Okay.
could be the potential, what could be the maximum potential that we can fight for, that can, fight against. And
Hmm.
that's when I realized that the biggest battle that a man has to fight is the battle within. you know External factors are okay, you can always control them, you can always fight against them, but the internal thing is the biggest battle that every man has to fight. And that's when I started fighting this battle, I realized. And then I went into, let's cut it short, that I went into, a very extensive diet regime, a very extensive yoga regime, a very disciplined life, a lot of, extensive physiotherapy, willpower, and a lot of things. And then I started moving on, and that's when I went into academics, because corporate life, sedentary lifestyle was forbidden. So
Hmm.
my friends from my earlier universities will know that, for almost 1.5 year, I never sat. I was either standing, or either I was resting in a lying position. So I could not sit. So for 1.5 or 2 years, I was confined to a place. I just used to deliver my lectures in standing position, and I was recovering.
So this testifies that nothing is impossible. So you can challenge the limits, and you can always come out of the shit like.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I tried to do. And after this injury, after 4 years of this injury, I made my first world record, which was delivering the world's longest lecture for 7 days and 7 nights.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was coming to that actually,
yeah.
because you set that world record at the age of 26, right? You said that you entered into academics, and I am into academics for last 30 years, and all since I met you, I always used to ask like my colleagues and my like what limit you can think of some person like can deliver a lecture like for how long? Like all the time we used to get maybe 5 hours, 4 hours, maybe 6 hours, and I saw that I met a person like who had actually done it for like these many of hours. So I just wish to get into the details of that process actually, that how, because it was I'm sure that ये एक दिन का काम तो नहीं होगा. It must have been like lots of rehearsals and lots of talking to your own mind and getting testing your own potential somewhere and then taking a like final call on it. So what exactly was there in your mind when you actually thought of doing it? Like I can do it.
Yeah, like I said, when I conceived the idea, I was actually trying to understand the human potential in a larger sense,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, let's talk about my record first. Of course, this was not a job of one day.
Mm-hmm.
I had to conceive that thought for almost 2 years.
Exactly.
And then when I was delivering the lecture, there is a whole, set of rules to follow by Guinness World Record. For example, you cannot repeat the content. That's one. So,
Yeah, that's another question I would be asking later on. That what was those standards? So I like the viewers and the listener would love to get into that
yeah,
detail.
exactly. So, it was, I believe that once you have to conceive a thought in your mind, the simple thing is that first step is to conceive the idea in your head.
Right.
And the moment you can conceive that idea in your head, your body will start supporting it. Maybe I would like to mention a couple of names here, and maybe students can explore them later. So let's talk about a guy called Lewis Pugh.
Okay.
Lewis Pugh is basically a green campaigner,
Mm-hmm.
and he is basically a cold water swimmer.
Right.
If you Google him, he is one of the United Nations champion as well, UN ambassador as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy went into Antarctica, very close to geographic position of North Pole and South Pole, and one of the glacial lake in the Everest, Mount Everest.
Okay.
He swam across those lakes bare body,
That's great.
completely bare body. There was nothing. I'm talking about temperature of minus 1.7 degrees centigrades. You know,
Okay.
so human limit ends there. If you're talking about a normal human limit, generally will perceive that this guy might, get hypothermia or kind of, his brain will freeze. He'll freeze to death.
Mm-hmm.
But then one of the sports scientists found that there's something called anticipatory thermogenesis. So anticipatory thermogenesis caused the his core body temperature to rise by 2 degrees centigrade internally.
Okay.
That was his willpower.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment he conceived the idea, you call it the mutation response or you call it anything, but his internal core temperature was increased by 2 degrees centigrade internally.
Okay.
So a combination of willpower, combination of how your body was responding to that kind of environment, he did it, and he is like one of the amazing guy that I know who has been pushing the limits every time. Let's talk about 10-second barrier in 100-meter race.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Back in like before 1968 Summer Olympics, it was difficult to imagine that any 100-meter race sprinter can cross the barrier of 10 seconds. Nobody imagined that. It was beyond human limit. But
Right.
in 1968, I think Jim Hines was the first guy who basically broke that barrier. And after that, people have been breaking it 9.59 and 9 and almost 10-second barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Usain Bolt holds the record for this, and his sprint is 9.58 second. So you see, human race is basically evolving all the time. So when I was conceiving the idea, these kind of examples, they motivated me, and I kind of I thought that I should take it as an experiment. And also, I can recall one of the incident from one of my talk at Pakistan. I went to Pakistan to deliver a talk at School of Business at
Yes.
Nust University. They watched a lot of Bollywood movies. I think students can relate. There is a movie called Rockstar.
Right.
So in that movie, he wanted to become a singer, Somebody told him, जब तक दर्द में आवाज में दर्द नहीं होगा तब तक you will not be able to become a singer. So he quoted, the Pakistani student quoted this movie and asked me, sir, because you met an accident, possibly that's the reason you were successful. So his question was, is that really important to meet an accident in order to become successful in life? Maybe I did not realize it till then, but in that moment I realized, and my instant answer was yes. Yes, it's important to meet an accident. And I wish that all of us we meet an accident. Not the physical one, but then of course a thought accident is an accident in itself,
Some setback maybe.
some setback, some thought accident, just something that can basically stir your thoughts and provoke you to question your existence or the purpose of your existence.
Right.
You know, that powerful thought. And back then when I was bedridden, I was talking about the same thought accident, I just could not accept it. And that's when I thought that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to compensate this. I'm going to create something wonderful or fantastic out of it, out of this tragedy. So that's when I started preparing. And during my engineering days, I used to study a lot. I used to do a lot of overnight experiments and couple of things. So I had this knack of insomnia, which I believe that I just needed to polish it. But then by then I was into academics. So if I was a painter, I would be painting something, right? If I was an artist, I would be composing a song. But I became a lecturer. What else a lecturer can do? To deliver a lecture, right? And then I came to know that I can do a longest lecture. And that's when I started preparing my body, and I delivered this longest lecture.
So,
And
sorry to intervene in between. Like, did you talk about this thought to, like, did you share it with somebody before you had actually started working on it?
no, I did not share it with anybody. I precisely remember I did not talk about it to anybody, I guess. I just started preparing. The idea was vague. And of course, when you are trying to go unconventional about something, you will generally face a lot of resistance. That's the nature. People are scared of what they don't understand, and they tell you, the basic conventional things. So as expected, I remember I tried talking to one or two people, and then I got the response, and I decided, let's not talk
Yeah, that's
about
very
it to
natural.
anybody.
That's
Yeah.
I was
That's
about
very
to ask
natural.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just the because the moment you are doing everything conventional, okay, talk about it, everybody will participate, that's fine. The moment you think that you're going to do something completely unconventional, it's best to keep the idea with you, try to conceive the idea, try to fructify it, and the moment it takes shapes, the entire word is up and ready to say it.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So,
So
they might, as you said, that you talked to a few of the guys that I wish to do this, and you might have got certain kind of conventional answer. Maybe you can call a negative answer. मिश्रा जी आप पागल तो नहीं हो गए हैं? आप क्या करेंगे? आप कैसे करेंगे? Like आपसे नहीं होगा. So, before you actually started and really started seriously working on it, so there might have been certain forces or certain people who have tried to push you back. Why I'm asking, because these questions are very conventional, and lots of students listening to this, they do have certain ideas to explore and to challenge the limits, but most of the times they fell prey to all these kind of negative thoughts they are surrounded with. So that's why I'm asking this. Like, you might have encountered with those kind of process, and the
yeah,
person.
of course, I came across those reservations and those fear. Maybe I can share a story here. The story that inspired me. It will take a couple
Okay,
of minutes here.
sure, go ahead.
So there was a professor called Randy Bosch. I'm not sure how many of students might have heard of him.
Okay.
He was a professor at Carnegie Mellon University, one of the leading universities in USA, especially in the area of computer science and artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So everything in his life was going fine and well. So one fine day, he feels some kind of pain in his lower abdomen, and then he visits the doctor, and doctor breaks the news that you got pancreatic cancer, stage 4.
Okay.
You know, his life all going well, a wonderful wife, 2 kids, everything settled, a very popular professor, everything is fine in his life. And on a very fine evening, he comes to know that he has got pancreatic cancer. Now how do you process this information? That's one thing. So the thing was that he decided that, okay, I cannot go into a denial mode. I just have to accept it, and I have to just prepare for it. The kind of composer that he had, of course, the kind of personality he was.
Mhm.
So he decided that I'll go to university, I'll resign first, and I'll take care of the affairs later, because I have to settle the finances. I have to move my wife close to my parents. A lot of things to do. So he goes to the university, meets the chancellor, and then he decides to resign. And they were sorry to hear it. But there is a protocol in that university. Whenever a professor is retiring or leaving the university, they say, if you want to deliver a last lecture, like
Okay.
like fraternity will come, your friends and family will come, and they will listen to the last lecture.
Mhm.
So it's like, he thought to himself, and then he decided, actually this is going to be my last lecture, so I think, yeah, I should deliver it. So the wonderful thing about this story is that when he was asked to decide the topic, give the name of the topic so that they can, print the material and they can send it across to the notice boards. So what was going to the topic?
Mhm.
Of course, he wanted to talk about something engineering stuff and all, but then he realized that I am not that sad. I mean, I'm going to die. I feel sorry for my kids. I feel sorry for everybody. But I, as a person, I'm not feeling sad. I'm content. So he realized that there is something in me that I think I should share with the world. And that was the feeling of contentment, that he was satisfied. And the reason he was satisfied, he realized that he has fulfilled all of his childhood dreams. It sounds fancy. But when he was a kid, he wanted to become an astronaut.
Mhm.
He wanted to be one of the NBA player. He wanted to play Captain Kirk in Star Trek movie,
Yeah.
one of the leading character of that
Yeah. Yeah.
movie. He wanted to become an Imagineer. So Imagineer are the engineers who were working on Disneyland, one of the famous icon in USA. So these are like combination of imaginations and engineer, so they are called Imagineers. So he wanted to become an Imagineer. So he had a spectrum of dreams, and somehow he fulfilled all of his dreams. Now that's a very interesting story, how one person can be astronaut, how one person can be Imagineer, how one person played, well, he did not play Captain Kirk in Star Trek, but he was the guy who designed this entire artificial intelligence based environment for that movie, because he was the father of artificial intelligence. He created something. So after he did his PhD, he started applying to Disneyland. Disneyland will always reject his application. They will say, we are looking for other kinds of engineers. You are basically a computer science engineer. What will you do here? You don't have major role here. So they'll reject his application. After that, he joined Carnegie Mellon University. He invented one of the first artificial intelligence based virtual reality based game,
Mhm.
which became popular. So Disneyland contacted him himself, and they said, why don't you come and install something fancy here?
Mhm.
So then he was invited by Disneyland. So then they were making him project manager or some other kind of designation. So he said, I will work with you, but one condition: you have to make me an Imagineer. They said, but then a lot of Imagineers will be working under you. He said, no, I don't care. I want to become an Imagineer.
Mhm.
See, I mean, that was his childhood dream, to hold that tag, to hold that position, and he compromised as much as he could. So he became an Imagineer. After that, it was popular. It went viral. A lot of people were watching it. So that was the time when the director of that Star Trek movie was coming up with the sequel of the movie, and he came to know that some fancy professor has developed something nice. Maybe we can try this in our ship environment.
Mhm.
So they called him, and he said, okay, fine, I can do it, but I have a condition. I want Captain Kirk to be there.
Okay,
So
great.
he met Captain Kirk, and then again, I mean, let's that's a long story altogether. But the idea is, we need to ask ourselves what's important for us.
Yeah.
So when I was conceiving that idea, I realized that all of these negative thoughts, all of these reservations, all of these conventions, they're not important. They don't mean anything to me. For me, what was important was the idea that I can do it, the idea that I've conceived it, and I can at least try to do it.
Mhm.
At least I can try to do it, without letting any external factor affect me, or trying to stop me from doing this. And then, like I said, sometimes you make a battle very personal. After my spine injury, after those bedridden days, I just wanted to test my own human potential, because I thought, I need to see what I've got in me.
Mm.
So that's how I perceived the idea. And yeah, there was reservations, there was conventional, resistance, even from my own family. They were like, are you sure you're going to be healthy? Are you sure you can do it? Are you sure? Somebody said that he might get a neural stroke. So
So
if
then,
you're
so the end line is that once you decide it, then just do it, and
Yeah,
don't worry, and just be focused and test your potential, and
exactly,
okay,
exactly.
then you can do it. Okay.
Exactly. Like I said, the examples Lewis Pug and Usain Bolt, and
Mhm.
you see no human record here and this planet is ever going to stay.
Mhm.
I'm sure somebody will, after a decade or in couple of years to come, will break the Usain Bolt's record.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody will break other barrier. No barrier is going to stay. Even my record, as we speak, I think couple of guys are attempting it. I am aware that there is an event in September. Somebody is going to attempt it.
Mhm.
So all these records are meant to be broken, and human body is just wonderful. Mind, body, and this spirit all together, these trillium, it works together, and it can produce wonderful results for anybody.
Yeah, coming back to that record actually, because initial record, as per my information is concerned, that I think it was for 120 hours when you
That
had
was
actually.
139 hours.
No, no, you did it for 139 hours, and
Yeah,
but
yeah.
earlier one was for 121, I think, right?
Yes, it was 121 hours from
So
Poland.
yeah, so when actually we were seeing that video, like once you cross that 121 hours, then you kept on going 18 hours after that. So there's another like additional pushing the limit. So what exactly was there in mind, that when exactly you had decided to go till like 139 hours, could have been 150 hours, or like, because generally होता है ना कि like once you start running a race and once you have won it, then automatically your all strength and all like inner strength that goes away all of a sudden. So but what made you to kept on going beyond 121 hours till you reach 139 hours, and what happened after 139 hours actually? So that I wish to know, and I think viewers would also love to know that.
Right, right, right. So after 121 hours, I was relaxed that I already broke the record. I was
Mhm.
told by my team members, my
Mhm.
committee members who were trying to manage the event. They
Mhm.
said that you've already broken the record.
Mhm.
So what next? Then my instant answer was, now I need to battle with myself. Like, let me see how far I can stretch this record. You know.
Mhm.
So once you have broken the record, then I was interested in fighting with my own self. I wanted to see if I made this record, 130 hours, 125 hours, how far
Mhm.
I can stretch. What's my own limitation? So I kept on going. I was healthy. I was okay. I was doing pretty much okay, except a couple of things, like, for example, a very minor episodes of hallucinations. When you speak for long, say, a lot of people will understand that staying awake was not a challenge for me. Of course, it's very difficult,
Mhm.
uh, but you can master it. Staying awake was not the challenge. My challenge was to stay cognitively awake, because when you are delivering a lecture, uh, it requires you to gather the information,
That itself
and
is a challenge actually.
itself as a challenge, and then you need to process that information,
Mhm.
and then you need to make sure that all the parts of your brain are working together so that you can create right amount of speech, right words, and you deliver it in form of a lecture.
Mhm.
So cognitive intelligence was one challenge there. So I needed to see my own cognitive intelligence back then. So I thought, right now I can see that all of my functions are working together. I can see that there is a coordination in all these functions.
Mhm.
So I was interested in, breaking my own barrier at that point of time. So I kept on going. So there was a rule by Guinness Book of World Records. They said that after every hours of finished activity, you can take 5 minutes of break. You know, so that break was used for basically, I would say, to eat something, to drink something, or to, little bit freshen up. It's not much, of course. You talk for 3 hours and then you have 15 minutes. Uh, you cannot exhaust 15 minutes technically, because the moment you exhaust 15 minutes, you will be disqualified. So I always had to keep some amount of minutes in buffer. You know,
Okay. Okay.
so I could, after 3 hours of activity, the best I could do was 7 to 8 minutes of break. You know. So after that, when I was not stopping, my team members and in fact my mother and my other family members, they reached the venue where I was making this record, and it was getting widely publicized by media, local media, and there. So somebody told my mother as well, possibly he has gone crazy. He's not stopping. We need to do something about it. So after that, my team came together and they kind of made me, violate a rule by taking, because I was depending on them, that you tell me when is the time I should take a rest and when is the time I should resume. So after 139 hours and 42 minutes 56 seconds, that was the time when I took a break, and they made me violate the rule so that I could stop, because they said, "Sir, it's over now. You need to stop now." So that's when, and that's how I stopped.
Okay, so that's kind of I was talking the forces behind that you do not do it. Okay, I can understand it. They might be worried about your mental health and of course about the physical health. So that's understandable. But somehow, so you did it for 18 hours, and the question is related to this only. One of my friend is asking, pushing physical limits or challenging the endurance, patience, mental balance, and fighting within oneself and cognitive boundaries. You might have answered it, but still the question is repeated. How exactly you had mastered it? Maybe in few lines you can repeat.
Well, like I said, willpower plays a huge role. I don't think that if you're passionate about something, you need a lot of stamina there. I don't think. I mean, I'm making the statement again. If you're really passionate about something, you do not need a lot of stamina. There will be an innate, inward driving force that will be making sure that you do it. And then rest, everything that is required is, just persistency, consistency, and your own self inspiration to make sure that it fructifies, it matures to what you want it to be. So I believe, that's what I did when I was mastering this thing. I was just I was actually, it was a game for me. I was just loving it. Every time I will practice, I will see how far I can go. For 2 years almost, I was developing the content. And I, like I said, during my engineering days, I did my minor in numerical competitions,
Mm-hmm.
and that subject used to fascinate me so much. So when I was developing the content, I ended up creating 3988 handwritten PDF page over an eyeball device. So that was my presentation. So that was a 2 semester course from MIT Open Courseware. I kind of took like 80 videos, which is like 40 lectures, 1 hour of
Mm-hmm.
1 hour each. So I'm talking about 80 hours of lectures.
Mm-hmm.
I converted that lecture into 3988 handwritten PDF pages. So I enjoyed that journey. And then every time I will do it, I'll go 50 hours. And then next time I know that I have to beat this, I have to go beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, every journey when we do, every time we try to create something big, it starts with a single step, small step. For example, when I cycled, also when I started this cycling, I ended up cycling almost more than 4,000 kilometers. I remember that it was just like one pedal at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It was never like, I have to travel 180 kilometers today, I have to reach this destination, I'm starting from Jaipur, I have to end up in Sikar. It was never like that. It was just like, one single step at a time. And that, I believe, the composure, if you can create to be in present all the time, if you can be in the present all the time, it really helps a lot in achieving something great.
That's fine. That's great. Really inspiring, Arvindji. So you are an like. Let's move to some another aspect that is added to your personality. You are an active environmentalist, right? And once you had decided, as per my information is concerned, you had decided to go for another world record. That is traveling and connecting the youth of India and traveling on bicycle with a C negative campaign, a carbon negative campaign, like to reduce the carbon footprint the world is producing right now. But you were close to making this record, but you, for somehow, so some reasons, for somehow, you were not able to do it. So can you like elaborate on it? What actually had happened, and
Yeah,
what were the gains throughout this journey? You connected with maybe thousands of students of different universities. So, what made you abandon this noble cause actually? So, please.
Yeah, I mean, the cause still continues for sure.
Yeah.
But then when I started cycling, I started with the idea that I will be creating a world record again. I started that activity with the world record. Again, like the same obsession to push the limit.
Mm-hmm.
How far I can cycle every day. 180 kilometers. Next day, 220 kilometers. Next day,
Mm-hmm.
this. I will be beating the crosswind, the tailwind. The
Mm-hmm.
challenges. So I was doing it every day. But like like a wise man has said, at some point of time you tend to take a pause, you stop, and then you try to identify whether it's your obsession or whether it's passion.
Right.
And then I can precisely remember a moment. I can definitely tell you, I precisely remember a moment out in the outskirts of Ajmer.
Mm-hmm.
you know that's where I continued my cycling journey further.
Mm-hmm.
But I stopped recording my journey because there is a regulation from Guinness World Record that you need to travel at least this much of kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot stop at a place beyond this point of time. Like you can stop at a point at a place for more than 6 hours or something. So there were a huge set of rules and regulations to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when I felt it's beautiful to be here. What am I running after? And the idea came to me, why don't I do this for myself? Because the moment I did not know India is that amazing. I mean, of course.
I'm sharing the picture right now,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the viewers can
so
see it.
so I know that when I was cycling, I was about to make the record. But then, like I said, I when I went deeper into the India, there is one India that we know. People from Delhi, Kolkata, Bangalore, Chennai will know. There is one more India that stays within India. There is a beauty in it, and I just didn't want to miss it. Just not for a record. Because uh, traveling is something like lot of his friends who are listening to me. They will know that traveling will change you.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely is one of the greatest school or institutions that I can say. It 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 gives you a chance to self explore. It gives you a chance to basically ask a couple of meaningful questions to yourself. And when I was cycling, I was alone, by the way. there
Right.
was there was of course nothing. I
Mm-hmm.
had my rucksack, I had my sleeping bag, I had my utensils, I had a small camp. So those 4 or 5 months, I was introspecting a lot. And that's when I decided not everything is meant to be rushed after.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that I don't want to destroy this just for a piece of certificate. And at that point of time, I decided that it's not going to be the test of human potential. It's one time experience, and I want to explore more. I want to so that was the main reason I kind of abandoned it. I
Yeah.
continued my journey, but I stopped recording my journey.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So, let's move forward. There's another question from one of my friend, Mr. Ramandeep Singh Sedhu. He's asking that I am just reading it out. Physical and brain limits can be challenged. You have shown it. We are connected with hundreds of the audience right now. Not always easy to copy someone, isn't it? But one can always be oneself while emulating a person like you. So the question is, should one do it? If yes, then your take and advice for them. Like if some students decides to do it, he might be thinking of emulating somebody like you. So, what is the real advice as far as to like see his or her dreams, seeing the day at the end of the day, seeing the light at the end of the day?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I said, uh, everybody's life journey is so different.
Mhm.
And these days, these kids, they have a very different kind of lifestyle, different kind of aspirations,
Mhm.
and they are information sufficient. Find it. I mean, I remember that when I was graduating, there was no social media. I mean, there was something called Orkut back then.
Ah, yeah.
And even
Before the Facebook came.
yeah, in fact, internet speed was limited, and we had limited access to the smart devices.
Mhm.
So now this generation is very, very information sufficient. So like I said, these students, they have different challenges, different aspirations. So yes, if you can formulate a perfect optimized equation of your life, your personal life, I'm sure somebody just wants to go into corporate, somebody wants to pursue public service commission, somebody wants to become, entrepreneur or something. Of course, you have your own reasons to do it, you have your own aspirations to do it, but then, like I said, once you conceive it, then there should be nothing that's stopping you. And also there is one thing, I see that life is basically a process of evolution. We are constantly evolving, we're constantly changing, we are constantly updating our dreams and ambitions. It goes with ambitions as well. So
Right.
it's okay if sometimes you fail, because failing itself is a huge institution. It teaches you a lot. It gives you an opportunity to self reflect on your previous dream. Maybe you can modify it, maybe you can make it better. So and lot many people have done it. They come from different areas and they become something else. We have seen a lot of engineers doing a lot of wonderful writing, right? We have seen a lot of medical professionals, they're becoming something else. So of course, I would say yes, we should do it. We should do everything possible to make sure that our dream lives. Like I was talking about Randy Posh, that professor. Just imagine the idea that the moment you reach your prime age, you have all the energy, you have all the resources to do it, you have everything that can make you pursue it, right? And I just wonder, like I think, I can give you a hypothetical scenario here. Just imagine that you after 50 years or 60 years, you are 70, 75, talking to the kids here. you know just imagine that you are 75 or 70, and then possibly that's the end of your life. You know that you have consumed most important period of your life. you know I don't think that there could be anything most horrific than your talent, your skills, your dreams taking a physical form and coming in front of you and asking the straight question to you: what have you done with your life? That's the self
That's
introspection.
yeah, very difficult question to answer at that time. So,
Exactly. And I think at that point, if you realize the question, there is nothing that you can trade to come back to this moment and make the right choice. So I believe this is one question. Again, it's a negative question, I would say, right?
okay.
It's one of the negative example of negative motivation, I would say. You don't want to place yourself in that awkward position after a couple of years. You just need to make sure that yes. And success is also a very relative parameter. Sometimes success is just trying. It's Success is just not a milestone. You did this, or you achieved that record, or you have this piece of paper. That's not success. Success basically is when you can sit back and you can answer yourself and you can just self justify your existence. I believe, the moment you know that, yeah, you have justified your existence, that's success, I guess.
Yeah, okay, great. So that means like one should always keep on thinking and working on his ideas and aspirations. It doesn't matter at what age, and also thinking that at some point of time one has to give answer to somebody. So that will keep oneself moving all the time. So, okay, there's another question coming up for you actually, uh, for Mr. Ankur. You seem to promote the idea of non-conformity. What does it mean in layman's language? And how our student fraternity can extract its simple takeaway message from this.
The idea of non-conformity comes from the rat race, that we are kind of putting our children into.
Right.
There is a norm that's set everywhere, that you have to do +2 and then you have to graduate. You have to reach one of the best university. They are made to write competitive exam. They are given this pressure of securing this amount of percentage. And then after that, they graduate and they go into this mainstream life, acquiring experience and then getting promotion. And somehow I believe that this is conventional for sure, and nothing wrong in that. But somehow I believe that everybody deserves a right to think beyond, or to introspect if they can leave this conventional or conformal way of life, and if they can create something else. You see, I believe all these people who we are inspired from. For example, let's talk about Bill Gates. Let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg. They conceived an idea. They did not care about the convention. They left their universities, right? They did not. They dropped their universities, one of the top-notch universities, to do this, right? So somehow I believe that these are the people who have pursued the idea beyond social pressure, uh, beyond peer pressure, and beyond any set norm that we are exposed to.
Mhm.
And so I believe that I think, the non-conformity is something that at some point of time we all should ask, ourselves. And
Right.
also, talking about your personal peace. If something is making you really happy, even if this is the idea that is conventional, you should go ahead for it. There's nothing wrong in it. It's just as beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's great, Arvindji. It was really great talking to you, and I'm feeling like more excited because I'm talking face to face. I'm like uh, I wish that some point of time you come to this part of the world and talk directly to the students, and that would be kind of the greatest thing that we can hope for. But giving this scenario, I wish that this present situation eases out as early as possible. And I'm sure the students who have listened and joined today, and this telecast would be there on the Facebook page of Chitkara University, Himachal Pradesh. Before I close and formally thank, what I can draw from these lines, like there is one couplet I have taken from some Hindi like poetry. I would love to read it in praise of Mr. Arvind Mishra. यूं ही नहीं मिलती राही को मंजिल, एक जनून सा दिल में जगाना पड़ता है। पूछा चिड़िया से कैसे बनाया ये आशियाना, पूछा चिड़िया से किसी ने कैसे बनाया ये आशियाना, बोली चिड़िया भरनी पड़ती है उड़ान बार बार, तिनका तिनका उठाना पड़ता है. So that goes very fine with Mr. Arvind Mishra, because he had done a lot of hard work, challenged the limits, challenged himself, challenged the society, and has taken something very unique to his credit. So with this message, I would love to formally thank Mr. Arvind Mishra uh, from on behalf of the Chitkara University management, the student fraternity, of course, and we would love to see someday in our own campus in Punjab. So with these words, any take from your side, if you wish to, like the last message for the students and the listeners.
Oh, I really wish to come to a campus, and I'm sure that whenever I'm around and things are okay, COVID-19 situation has settled down,
Yeah.
I'd love to travel to your campus, and I would love to meet everybody physically.
Mhm.
And I'm one message to every student, if you can dream it, you can. If you can conceive it, you can
Mhm.
just achieve it. Just any dream. I would love to see a lot of students trying to break my record, or trying to cycle across and pursue their own dreams, or whatever they are aspiring to do. So one last message to everybody is that just live your dreams. Nothing in this world is impossible. Human race is becoming just stronger and stronger every time. Even
Right.
after every pandemic. If you see the previous pandemics, after every pandemic, socio-economic situations have changed,
Changes.
and
Yeah.
human beings have become more immune and more strong to everything. So even this COVID-19 situation might be testing us. So I'm sure human beings will beat it, will come forward, and
So
will come
we,
stronger.
we can take it another accident that is being caused to the human race as of now. So that's the COVID, and of course, definitely we shall be learning, and all of us will be coming up with better immune system and better the equipments and the resources to handle it. Right.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And in the end, I would like to extend my thank to your Chancellor, Dr. Ashok Chitkara, and Pro Chancellor, Dr. Madhu Chitkara ji, and Mohit Chitkara ji, for having me here.
Definitely.
And thank you for having me. It was wonderful talking to you. It was really wonderful talking to you. Thanks.
Same here, same here. So with wishing you a better, a very safe and healthy stay in India. So whenever you come around, we'll love to have you. Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
Mr.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Arvind. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day. Have a nice day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care.